What's up, Brian Tong here for everything good and bad inside the world of Apple. And in this video, we've got the iPhone 15 Pro's new action button features revealed, the Apple Watch Ultra 2 coming in a brand new color, and the first batch of new M3 Max are looking even more likely this year. So hey, let's start with the iPhone 15 Pro because I know you want to. And one of its rumored features is an all-new customizable action button similar to the one that we've seen on the Apple Watch Ultra. Now, it's expected to also replace the Ring silent switch that has been on iPhones forever. Now, Mac Rumors' Steve Moser found references to the action button buried in the code of the fourth developer beta for iOS 17 that will allow users to access different functions and settings without needing to unlock the phone. Now, the code in iOS 17 references 9 different options that will be customizable. It's just the feature names, but those names give us a pretty good idea of what they will be. So we'll start off with accessibility. That would give you quick access to features like voiceover, zoom, and assistive touch. Shortcuts could potentially allow you to run any shortcuts that a user has custom made or downloaded in the Shortcuts app, like sending a message or playing a music playlist just with one button click. Now, silent mode would let you toggle between muting and unmuting the ringer and alerts. Camera. This would obviously let you jump right in the camera app to take a photo or video. Flashlight is exactly what you think it is. Focus will most likely let you switch between focus modes or maybe turn one on or off. Magnifier. This is an interesting one as an option to launch the Magnifier app and use the iPhone camera to zoom into small text or objects. Translate. This option would launch the Translate app for a conversation or text translation back and forth with the press of a button. This is great for travel situations. And then voice memos would do what you think. Let you start or stop recording a voice memo. Now, this is what has been found in the code so far, so they may or may not be the final options, but my hope is that we can launch multiple apps or features from the iPhone 15 Pro's action button by doing either a single press or maybe a double press or a triple press. Was that 3? Maybe even a long press, just so that we can really utilize it instead of being restricted to one single function like the Apple Watch Ultra does. But we're going to find out everything in the next month in September during its anticipated official announcement. Now, the new 15 Pro models will reportedly be easier to repair, taking a cue from the 14 and 14 Plus. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman reports that the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max will have a redesigned chassis that will help make this happen. Now, the 14 and 14 Plus were the first iPhones that can be repaired by opening them from both the front glass and the back glass. That design didn't happen with the 14 Pro models, but Gurman says we can expect the ability to remove the back glass and the front glass on both sides of the 15 Pro models this year. Now, even back then, iFixit said that the iPhone 14 was the most substantial iPhone redesign because of its repairability, and the iPhone 14 had been drastically redesigned from the inside to make it easier to repair. So that now appears to be happening to the entire iPhone 15 lineup. Now, that won't be the only change to the iPhone 15 family. According to Ming-Chi Kuo, the base model iPhone 15 and 15 Plus will be getting a new 48 megapixel camera with a new sensor that can capture more light. If you recall last year's 14 and 14 Plus, they still used a 12 megapixel camera lens, so this new one will open up the ability for the standard models to shoot pro raw photos that retain more details and allow more flexibility with editing photos like the 14 Pros did last year. The other rumored change to the iPhone 15 Pro lineup, where reports are now getting more specific about the potential price increase that we talked about. According to a report from British bank Barclays, they believe the iPhone 15 Pro will end up costing $100 more, and the 15 Pro Max will be $100 to $200 more compared to last year. So based on those estimates, if we are looking at the potential iPhone lineup this year, the 15 would remain the same at $799. The iPhone 15 Plus would also remain unchanged at $899, but the iPhone 15 Pro could cost up to $1,099 compared to its $999 retail price before, and then we got the 15 Pro Max that could go as high as $1299 compared to its previous price of $1099. Now, these price bumps could be because of the new rumored titanium frame and this new improved camera, periscope camera specifically in the 15 Pro Max, to potentially get up to 5 times or 6 times optical zoom. The current highest optical zoom right now in an iPhone is at a measly 3 times zoom with the iPhone 14 lineup. But what do you think about this price bump, right? Are the rumors swirling around the 15 and 15 Pro enough for you to even want to upgrade this year, depending on where you are in your upgrade cycle? Hey, you know what to do. put it in the comments and I'll read them because I care. And people that call me out on that, they know I do respond. All right, let's take a moment to thank the sponsor of this video, Sihu. This is the Doro C300 ergonomic office chair. I assembled and I put it together in about 30 minutes with all the screws and tools that you need in the packaging. The Doro C300 gives you ergonomic control of everything from the seat, the armrests, and the headrests. But what I like the most is this adaptive and dynamic lumbar support that I can feel moving and adjusting and giving me really great support as I move forwards or backwards on the chair. It slides with me and I feel its support the entire time. Now the flexible motion seat back mimics your form as you move around for upper body and spinal support. And the wide angle mechanical headrest can be adjusted to find that sweet spot for you. Hey, you can even relax with your head turned sideways on it if you like. The chair is made of a super breathable fabric mesh so it stays cool. And you know, I'm a content creator and that means I'm at a desk all the time. And for the time I've used it, the Sihu Doro C300 is really impressive and I've instantly felt the difference from my previous chair. So check out the link in this video's description to get 6% off your purchase of the Sihu Doro C300. It's an excellent zero pressure seating experience at a price that you can afford. Okay, let's get back to the stories. And a recent report from Mark Gurman talked about how Apple had tested a dark gray titanium color option for the Apple Watch Ultra that never came to be. But could we see it this year with the Apple Watch Ultra 2? Well, Gurman thinks so. Apple leaker Shrimp Apple Pro decided to make it easier on us and release this image of what a darker Ultra could look like. I mean, how sick does this look? There were plenty of people who said that they passed on the Ultra because they wanted a different color, and this could be the year that they pull the trigger. Like, I'm really curious to see what else they'll bring this time around without, you know, any major groundbreaking health sensors expected this year. We know the biggest change is the software in WatchOS 10, and look, my Series 7 runs just fine, even on the beta, so how much will an updated processor even change things? Like, will there really be a significant jump in battery life? Even something significant enough to me that maybe would be going from the current 2.5 days that I get to 3.5 days on an Ultra. Yes, I know that's big for an Apple Watch, but adding a new color like this, dark titanium gray to the mix, that would be the smart play to just stir up more interest because I feel like 99% of the crowd that has an Ultra right now is not upgrading anytime soon unless you're a tech YouTuber. Yeah, they upgrade all the time. Not me, but generally. So this is about getting new users or people that were on the fence. They maybe didn't get the Ultra because they wanted a different color. And that dark titanium Ultra looks very, very nice. Now, Gurman was also the first to report that we'll get 2 new models of the Apple Watch Series 9 in the 41mm and 45mm watch face size. That's to be expected, but if you're hoping for a new Apple Watch SE, it will not happen this year. Gurman says Apple will stay on their 2-year upgrade cycle, so look out for a new SE 3 in 2024. And the majority of iPhone users, they still don't have an Apple Watch, so I know that there's still lots of room for this category to grow for Apple. And then you get the SE. It's still the first place I tell everyone to start when they're looking at an Apple Watch for the very first time. You just move up if you want, different finishes, health features, and larger screen sizes, but the SE for that price, I think it's at $279 right now. I could be wrong. Don't correct me if I am wrong, but that's a killer deal for what it does. So, okay, let's move on. Let's talk AirTags. And if your AirTag has run out of power, hey, you can always replace the battery, but if you're hoping for a new one, Ming-Chi Kuo reports that Apple will likely start production on the 2nd generation AirTag in the 4th quarter of 2024. Now, Kuo says the new AirTag will have better integration with Apple's new hot thing, the Apple Vision Pro, and be incorporated into its spatial computing ecosystem. Now, he didn't add any other details or new features, but when I hear that, you know, I could imagine something like a Find My app with an augmented reality layer over what you're looking at in the display that shows you where some of your items are, like your computer or computers, an Apple Watch, iPhone, and maybe AirTags around the house. And I'm not going to put on a headset just for that, but if it happens to be on, it could be helpful. We also have the new iPhone 15 lineup that's expected to get an upgraded ultra wideband chip, which could be called the U2, and that new improved U2 chip will likely be in the next AirTags. Now, there are no reports that there will be a red and black U2 edition colorway of the new AirTags. And I hope you didn't take that last comment seriously, please. Now, we didn't see many advancements from Apple with all the buzz around generative AI at WWDC, and the real truth is don't expect anything from the Cupertino kids in the near future while we have like Google and Microsoft and others. They're leaning in big time. Well, analyst Ming-Chi Kuo says Apple's progress is significantly behind others, and there are no signs that Apple is planning to launch any AI services next year. Now, there were reports that Apple was working on their own Apple GPT artificial intelligence projects, but Bloomberg's Mark Gurman said that they still do not have a clear strategy for creating products for consumers with this. And even Apple CEO Tim Cook gave us an indication where they're at. I mean, he said earlier that it was important to be deliberate and thoughtful in their approach to AI, but sees the opportunity as huge and that Apple will weave it into products on a very thoughtful basis. So translation to me is that it's going to be a while before we see Apple really go all in and give us something from their own AI projects. So we'll wait and see. Now, let's hit up some Apple Vision Pro updates. And Vision Pro Developer Labs have now opened up. So this allows developers to attend coding labs and be able to test and perfect their Vision OS apps with the help of Apple experts on site. Now, this is exactly what I want to hear, right? Developers getting to jump in as soon as possible to see what they can create for us. I mean, we're the ones that benefit from your amazing brains. And Vision Pro Developer Labs, they're going to be available in Cupertino, which is the only one in the US. We got London, Munich, Shanghai, Singapore, and Tokyo. So that's 6 cities total. It's obviously pretty limited access, and that might be an issue because Mark Gurman says the developer labs have been underfilled with small amounts of developers. We know Apple, they're not reimbursing them for travel, so if you're in the US, the only place to test it out is in Cupertino, and I'm from Cupertino, right? That's where my parents live. That's where I stay when I go out there, and even the hotels there, they aren't cheap. So add on a cross-country trip for people on the East Coast, it just makes it difficult. Also factor in developers are actively working on other platforms. I mean, they don't know exactly when the Vision Pro launch date is. Another factor, Apple has made Vision Pro developer kits available, and that means developers can have a Vision Pro as a loaner to develop and test apps without going anywhere. So they'll get a device, they get a setup and onboarding, and they'll reportedly need to stay where the device is shipped in a private, secure workspace that's accessible only by developers who are approved to work with it. So developers can apply on Apple's website, and the Apple Vision Pro, we know, is still set for early 2024 as the target release date. Whatever that means, I'm leaning more towards that April, June timeframe. That's still early-ish, but not a January, February, unless they do. So we'll find out. But Apple, we also know that they've released the second public betas for all of their operating systems. I already gave you an in-depth hands-on preview of iOS 17. I did WatchOS 10, and I'll be getting a few more out for you. Don't worry, because I still think people are not talking enough about how tvOS 17 is making some subtle but really significant changes this year. To me, it's the surprise OS update of the group. And then if we're looking forward to Apple's September event, we know the iPhone gets all the attention, but if there's one thing that I think will be the sleeper of the announcements, it's got to be the AirPods Pro 2, and specifically the new features that they kind of just barely teased at WWDC and will likely be coming to other Apple hardware in the future. But you can tell with that little teaser, I'm sure we'll hear more about it. Apple, they really wanted to change how AirPods are being used moving forward, and that really goes beyond music. So we'll see. But look, we're not done yet. New Macs. We know they've been rumored to be coming in October, with the first batch of M3 Macs making their debut. According to a DigiTimes report, Apple's supply chain now is not only gearing up for the new iPhone, but for new Macs before the end of this year. So this is now the second report claiming strong evidence that we'll see them after Mark Gurman reported that Apple could launch new M3 Macs at an October event. The M3 chip could show up for the very first time in the 13-inch MacBook Pro, the 13-inch MacBook Air, and the 24-inch iMac. And of course, the rest of the Mac lineup will eventually migrate over as well. But with the M3 Pro, M3 Max, and M3 Ultra flavors, it's all coming, but we'll wait and see what we start off with in October and what that has to bring. All right, everybody, that is going to do it for this video. And we are just about a month away from Apple's next announcement sometime in September, early September. So if you like what you see, give me that thumbs up, subs up, and hit that notification bell, ding, to get all my latest videos when they drop. And if you want more of that Apple goodness, you can check out my weekly Apple Bits XL audio podcast with the latest stories and special guests. There's more that I couldn't even cover in here. And you can support all my content with an ad-free version of the podcast. You get early access to content and exclusive content at patreon.com/BrianTong. Thanks again for watching. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace and love.